Hello. The duty to pay workers' salaries as and when due is a general rule derived from the terms of the contract of service. How that plays out in Nigeria, especially in the federating states, is our destination tonight on the program. Good evening and welcome to the show. It is no longer news that for a long time now, many Nigerian workers in both public and private sectors have suffered in the hands of their employers who have abandoned the obligation to pay salaries as and when due at the slightest excuses. This has caused some commentators to say that irregular payment of salaries should be considered antithetic to any claims of good governance, because owing workers' salaries unjustifiably and for no fault of theirs, of course, is indefensible. Now, the situation has reduced the affected workers to a bare life, taking away their human dignity as their immediate families and dependents suffer the multiplier effects. Bothered by the huge debt owed to workers in many states of the country, President Muhammadu Buhari on separate occasions made available some funds to states specifically to pay backlog of workers' salaries. Yet, not less than 12 states owed salaries for between 3 and 10 months. The bailout funds failed in these states, leading to strike actions that couldn't yield the ultimate result. Some say irregular payment of salaries is an invitation to crime, while others call for an act to prohibit late payment of salaries, pensions, and emoluments. We will put all of this into perspective and determine the economic implications of delayed salaries in the affected states and, of course, the way forward. This is Weekend File, the right place for news, views, and analysis. My name is Nigerian, and I thank you for choosing to stay with us tonight on the show. And the next is news of the day. Well, first of all, we'll be bringing you an update of the gubernatorial elections in Anambra State in the course of this program. And as a matter of fact, collation of and counting of results are ongoing at the moment. And so before we call it a day tonight, we hope to bring you an update on that election. For now, to other news, the local government election held today in Kwara State recorded impressive turnout, but with skirmishes in some areas. Duni Adala reports that the House of Senator Shaba Lafiagi, representing Kwara North Senatorial District, was burnt few hours to the election.
Reports from various local governments indicate that there was late arrival of voting materials and officials, which resulted into a little delay in the exercise. This development, however, did not deter voters from coming out to elect candidates of their choice. The state governor, Alhaji Abdul Fattah Ahmed, cast his ballot at Ale Biokon Unit 8 in his hometown, Share, in a Felodun local government area of the state, while the Senate President, Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki, performed his own civic responsibility at Ajikobi Ward in Ilorin, the state capital. Meanwhile, 3 people were alleged to have lost their lives, while property worth millions of naira lost from the home of Senator representing Kwara North, Senator Shaba Lafiagi, in his hometown, Lafiagi in Edu, local government area of the state.
This is a very unfortunate incident. It is something that happened inadvertently.
Sequel to the above, election did not hold in Lafiagi Ward 1 and 2. In Ilorin, Duni Adealao, NTA News.
Now, the federal government has set up a cabinet committee to examine the circumstances of the death of 26 teenage Nigerian migrant girls found dead in the Mediterranean in early November. This is in reaction to the allegations that the government had not reacted to the death of these girls believed to have drowned at sea. In a release, the senior special assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, said the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has kept its sight on the issue and had briefed the presidency on a regular basis since the time the tragic incident came to limelight. He added that the government's committee is expected to also examine reports of the sale of Nigerian citizens through slavery and expected to brief the Federal Executive Council next week. chaired by the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. The committee has as members Ministers of Women Affairs, Youth, Foreign Affairs, and Senior Special Assistants to the President on Foreign Affairs and the Diaspora. The wife of the President, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, says she will leave no stone unturned in ensuring that living standard of women and children are improved. Mrs. Buhari said this in a message at the three-day first ever Nigeria-Morocco Women Entrepreneurial Summit, which takes place in Marrakech, Morocco. State House correspondent Aliu Kabir reports.
As part of her continued effort towards improving their living standard, the wife of the President, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, have been engaging in various advocacy initiatives seeking for possible collaboration with both domestic and international non-governmental organizations to support the victims. This was prompted the Nigeria-Morocco Women Entrepreneur Summit, which is first of its kind aimed at boosting synergy and cooperation between women in Nigeria and Morocco to acquiring skills in various trading activities for the betterment of the two countries. The wife of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Gimbia Dogara, who represented the wife of the President, says Mrs. Buhari remains committed in this direction.
Her Excellency is passionate about health and well-being of women and children and the less privileged members of our society.
It has between a relationship, a bilateral relationship between the two countries, bringing them together to share ideas.
Participants, comprising the wives of the governors, especially from the affected areas of the insurgency, reaffirmed their determination to support the program for the betterment of their people. The summit is expected to open another window of opportunity for the Nigerian women and their counterparts, the Moroccans, in exploring other areas of mutual benefit such as art and craft, tourism and culture, as well as entertainment. In Marrakech, Morocco, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
Deputy Secretary of State John Sullivan will visit Nigeria on November 19 and 20 when he will be led by will lead the U.S. interagency delegation to the Binational Commission meetings in Abuja. The Binational Commission will be hosted by Nigerian Foreign Minister Geoffrey Onyama. A statement from the Information Office, Public Affairs Section, Embassy of the United States of America said working groups at the meeting will focus on security, cooperation, governance and democracy, as well as economic growth and development. The Deputy Secretary is the highest-ranking member of the Trump administration to visit Nigeria and will convey the administration's commitment to a strong partnership with the government and people of Nigeria. John Sullivan was confirmed by the U.S. Senate and sworn in as the Deputy Secretary of State on May 24, 2017. Now, the present administration's anti-corruption crusade has been applauded and described as the sure way to rebuilding Nigeria for sustainable growth and development. Vice President, Industrial Global Union, Issa Aremu, said this during a policy dialogue in Abuja. Anthony Forson was there for us.
Taking his record of assessing the present administration, Issa Aremu said President Muhammadu Buhari has in no small way repositioned Nigeria strategically for the world to envy. He said the 3 points upon which the present administration anchored its governance upon has yielded positive results in the areas of security, economic growth, and the fight against corruption.
We bear witness today that Nigeria proudly has a president that is openly incorruptible. The ongoing fight against corruption has restored Nigeria's integrity in the world.
In their goodwill messages to the policy dialogue, Governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, was represented by his Commissioner for Wealth Creation and Employment, Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Aisha Abubakar, who was also represented by a Deputy Director in the ministry, alongside representatives from UNIDO. All of them called for synergy between government and the private sector for the attainment of a sustainable industrialization. The policy dialogue has as its theme Industry 4.0 Implication for Nigeria. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Normalcy has since returned to Alakaramanti village in Jere local government area of Borno State after the multiple suicide bomb attacks by females in IED vests. A statement by the public relations officer, that's the police, Borno State SP Isuku Victor, said the corps and the injured have since been evacuated to University of Medical Teaching Hospital. He also said the police team had rendered the exploded IED vests safe and sanitized the area. Now, this is Weekend File, and we are taking a critical look at delayed payment of salaries of civil servants in so many states across the nation. And we look at the legal and, of course, the social implications of that. And so when we return, we will hear more from our correspondents from across the nation. Don't go away.
From 1967 to 1970, Nigeria went through a horrifying civil war. It didn't matter who was wrong or right. Everybody suffered. Those who fought that war say it should never happen again.
So a lot of people will say, but you were leading the first one. Yes, I led the first one. I don't think a second one is necessary. We should have learned from that first one. Otherwise, the dead would have been to no avail, would all have been in vain.
The words of our elders are full of wisdom.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
This phone are dying. Just put this plenty anyhow inside. At all. These movies are not my phone. They are on Glow. For real? Yes, from Nollywood, Hollywood, Bollywood, even Kannywood. I'm see them get pass something.
Get any romantic film.
Yes, no.
That kind of film, they give me joy.
Granot DMA takes support this popon. You get better war movie. Yes, I get war movie now. Yeah. You get correct American movies. Yes, no. This one wash and well.
As traffic don't tear apart now, make we enjoy this Glow cinema.
Enjoy up to 12,000 hours of free movies on iFlix in exclusive partnership with Glow.
I forgot my assignment. Yeah. You can get it on Glow Cafe for free. For free? Movies on Flickr, share baby. I don't get out. Hey, my granite.
Text BUZZ to 105 to download Glow Cafe. The largest data network. Glow, grandmasters of data.
The Federal Ministry of Communications cordially invites honorable commissioners in charge of ICT in the 36 states of the Federation and Secretary ICT in the FCT to the 5th General Meeting of the National Council on Communication Technology, holding in Katsina State from the 20th to the 24th of November 2017. The theme, harnessing ICT as a main tool for driving the economic recovery and growth. The technical meeting commences on the 20th, while the council meeting will be formally declared open by the Katsina State Governor, Right Honorable Aminu Masari, on Thursday, 23rd November 2017 at 10 a.m. This year's edition will feature State's Peer Review Day and presentations on ICT products and solutions by industry stakeholders. Awards will be presented to the best performing states in ICT development in 4 categories. Venue, Bello Kofabai Hall, Katsina State Secretariat along Kanu Road, Katsina. A.M. Abdullahi, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Communications, announcer.
Now, where you go when you wear makeup like masquerade?
I dey go give Johnny money make he help where Junior feel in jam for, so he go get admission.
Mama Junior, you no need any professional form filler to help your son to fill in jam form. All the information we candidate need dey inside 2018 UTME jam brochure, and then click on the brochure. Go, sir. You go see the tertiary institution you want attend, the course where you want study plus the UTME subject combination you need for the course you want do, whether na teacher, scientist, lawyer, doctor. You go know the higher institution them, where they your area and whether your state na ELDS, educationally less developed. Click www.jam.gov.ng to know the correct amount to take by form and all other things them before Jam begins sell form. You dey educated enough to fill the form by yourself for yourself.
This message is by Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, enhancing academic excellence.
This is the game I've been waiting for, and I get a headache. But I remembered Mom's advice. When headache strikes, I always trust Sudrex. because Sudrex acts fast to relieve headaches. Sudrex, win your day.
Welcome to Zamfara, where opportunities meet commitment. The more than 6 years of Abdul Aziz Abubakar Yari, the people's governor, reflects new dawn, new opportunities, progress, new hope, and of course, the transformed Zamfara state. Education, health, roads, water supply, and road transformation. Name it. Abdul Aziz Yari leads for others to follow. His vision and mission tied around implementing the President Buhari's change mantra to Zamfara people. Carry on, the people's governor. Zamfara, the pride of the nation. This message is brought to you by Arewa Media Group.
Introducing the new Onga ginger, onion, and garlic powder seasoning. Now you can give your fish, chicken, and beef the unique taste, all in just one sachet. Onga. Onga, Mama's helping hand.
Thank you for staying with us up to this moment on Weekend Far. But before we continue with the program proper, let's take you to Awka, the capital of Anambra State, where Beauty is standing by with updates on the Anambra governorship election. Hello, Beauty.
A very warm welcome from Awka. This is HINEC headquarters here in Awka, where activities have shifted in exercise. For now, this is a hub of activities as the electorate patiently awaits the results of their voting exercise. As you can see, the state is now, the results will trickle in and subsequently collation will commence. But before then, let me quickly refresh your memory of activities that happened during the day. Counting and collation of votes cast in the Anambra governorship election is on. Ngozi Okafor of NTA News correspondent who covered the 3 senatorial districts of the state.
The exercise commenced on schedule in most polling units in the state, and where there were delays, enthusiastic voters waited patiently. The physically challenged and aged actively participated as they turned out to exercise their franchise. At the Umueze polling unit in Okasa local government area, this 92-year-old woman defied the hot sun to discharge her civic duty. Some candidates in the contest, including the incumbent governor, Willie Obiano, expressed satisfaction with the conduct, including APC candidate whose polling unit witnessed slight incidents.
We are very happy. You can see the large turnout of voters eagerly waiting to cast their votes.
In some places I got contact, I learned that INEC has remained neutral to a large extent, and I learned that their materials arrived early enough.
Malfunction of a card reader was, however, witnessed in Anambra South Senatorial District.
Poor card readers. There are so many card readers that are not working, and so we find sometimes they resort to manual.
There's a law that says if the card reader is not working, that they should use manual.
These notwithstanding, the electorate and observers say the election was hitch-free and generally peaceful. Meanwhile, counting and collation is ongoing. In Awka, Ngozi Okafor, NTA News.
Onitsha, the commercial city of Anambra State, complied. Onitsha, the commercial city of Anambra State, complied with the restriction order of vehicular movement during the governorship election. Correspondent Joy Iluegbo, who covered the exercise in Anambra North Senatorial District, reports that materials arrived late in some of the polling units.
The streets of Onitsha may be empty in compliance with the no movement order for the election, but the polling units were full even at areas where materials arrived late. Voters waited patiently until the officials arrived to commence the exercise. Presiding officer at the All Saints Primary School Onitsha polling unit said the exercise was so efficient that they even have to wait for voters. At Dennis Memorial Grammar School Onitsha, some voters frowned at the malfunctioning of the card reader.
Because the card reader is not working. They said the card reader is not working, so I couldn't vote. I've been standing here since morning. I've been around here since 8 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't vote.
They checked my card. They said that I should come again because my finger is rejecting the top rate.
The voters still expressed satisfaction with the process, just like those at Obosi Central School, Ward 1. Also conspicuous was the presence of security personnel who were positioned to forestall any act of violence. From Onitsha, Joy Iluebu, NTA News.
Kirian, that's our bit here. We continue the waiting game as we hand over the baton to you.
All right, thank you indeed, Beauty, for updating Nigerians on the just concluded gubernatorial elections in Anambra State. Of course, we've heard that collation and counting are ongoing at the moment. Thank you once again. And now back to us here in Abuja as we continue with the topic for today's edition of Week and File, which of course happens to be delayed workers' salaries. Now, a worker deserves his wages. Yeah, that's the position of the law. But however, what is trending in some states in Nigeria is irregular salary payment, which is impacting negatively on workers' well-being. In this background report, Emmanuel Anyimiro takes a look at the state of salary payments in Nigerian states and what happened to the 1.75 trillion extra statutory allocation by the Buhari administration to bail out states for the payment of salaries.
Of recent, President Muhammadu Buhari led the crusade by reacting negatively to some governors over complaints and agitation by their workers on issues of unpaid salaries and allowances, a situation which he said is not acceptable. Even though in 2014, Nigeria's economy began a downward trend due to a slide in the global oil prices, which affected revenue across the states, the present administration, through various means, offered to assist states to overcome their financial challenges. Despite a total of 1.75 trillion naira bailout funds released at different intervals to offset outstanding salaries and pension, the Nigerian Labour Congress observed that some states are still owing up to 18 months of salaries, huge gratuity and pension, as well as accumulated allowances spanning close to 8 years.
Let me say some states have done excellently well, and we have record of such states. But there are states also that certainly, even to ask about the utilization of the bailout have become problematic. One of the states is Kogi wrote to them on the receipt of the bailout. Demand was never responded to. And today we have liability of between 12 months and 23 months. You saw people were dying. People even committed suicide because of the fact that they cannot meet up the daily needs of their family.
In a Ebonyi state, to pay in percentage, we disagree and we will never agree to that. Last time gratuity was paid in Ebonyi state was 2015.
So, what happened to the bailout funds?
I was told the state actually fixed the money and is preparing for 2019 election. This will not help us.
Paris Club releases have also been diverted to payment of contractors.
Should government continue to release bailout despite failures to use the funds for the purposes of offsetting outstanding salaries and pension?
I do not think that these interventions will clearly solve some of these problems, except there is a frontal approach, and the only person that can do that is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Should states continue to depend on federal allocation instead of harnessing endowed natural resources to enhance internally generated revenue.
Quite a number of states that have confronted the problem frontally and have been able to design quite a number of avenues of raising their internally generated revenue. So I was in Gombe a couple of weeks back, and I was marveled. Worker salaries have been paid up to as when they are supposed to be paid.
Now that the NLC is ready to work with states that are open on their financial challenges, it is only hoped that workers' rights to prompt payment of salaries would become the trend and not the reverse. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
Now, thank you, Emmanuel, for that background report. Major players in the labor sector in Plateau State have commended Plateau State government for up-to-date payment of workers' salaries and called for its sustainability to engender harmony and productivity in the public sector. Now, Caleb Gochin takes it from here.
Civil servants in Plateau State have for a long while never had it this good in terms of prompt payments of salaries. And so they call him Governor Alert, a nickname they call Governor Simon Lalong, who since coming on board has ensured that no civil servant on the state and local government payroll has cause to worry over his or her salary.
The government is trying in paying of the salaries, but they should look into that of the local government.
Definitely we must work harder to see how we can maintain the unity of this country.
Affirming the submissions of the workers, Plateau State Chairman, Nigerian Labour Congress, Jibrin Banchir, said apart from some minor challenges still pending with the state government, the issue of salaries is as good as settled.
Today, the government is not owing us a dime as far as salary is concerned here. And we're very, very happy, we're comfortable at the way so far the governor is managing wages and pension due to workers and retirees of Plateau State.
Mr. Izam Atang Azi is the head of service, Plateau State.
I can say we have some stability now in the payment of salaries and pension. And so that has really boosted the morale of the workers in the state.
Civil servants and the labor leader are of the view that payment of salaries should not be used as a tool for attracting cheap popularity by politicians, but must be seen as a duty that must be discharged with every sense of responsibility, as the welfare of the citizenry should be top priority. In Jos, Caleb Gochin, NTA News.
Thank you, Caleb. And I'm interested to know that the governor of that state is actually our guest tonight on Weekend Fast. So we're going to hear more from him. Of course, we were told that he's called the alert governor. We'll know why. Now, the irregular payment of salaries in Benue State has continued to be a source of concern to many, especially civil servants. In this report, Elias Itev examines the situation and the implications on the economy and citizenry, as well as efforts towards addressing the challenges.
Upon assumption of office in 2015, the present administration in Benue State inherited arrears of salaries of workers and what the administration regarded as a bloated wage bill of over 7 billion naira monthly, largely due to issue of ghost workers. Since then, the state government has evolved several strategies at arresting the situation through various verification exercises. Some civil servants say they can no longer cope with their demands as breadwinners of the family due to irregular payment of salaries.
At the mercy of landlords and landladies because of this irregular payment.
Some business operators who decried the situation said it has affected business activities in the state.
This is a center a cyber cafe that is always crowded from morning till night. But now it has become, you can see, it's only the workers you are seeing here. There's no customer right now.
Benue State Governor Samuel Otom, in his recent interaction with some labor unions, said the challenges can only be surmounted when ghost workers are delisted on the payroll.
If you put the wage bill of the state and the local government together, we are hovering around average of 7.8 billion naira.
Benue State government is currently owing its workers arrears of salaries ranging from 5 to 10 months, depending on the tier and area of service. In Makudi, Elias, ETF, NT News.
Development of a salary payment strategy has been suggested as a way of checkmating irregular payment of workers' salaries, especially at the state level. This is the suggestion of some concerned individuals in the Southeast Zone. Susan Eze reports on the situation in some states of the zone.
A report from Abuja State reveals that some workers are being owed up to 8 months' salary and others between 4 to 7 months, including pensioners. Some observers maintain that non or irregular payment of salaries and wages and poor working conditions demoralizes workers, resulting in low productivity and corruption.
If we want to check irregular payment of salaries, there has to be salary payment plan put in place.
Employers at all levels were also advised to maintain harmonious working relationship with workers as a way of reducing industrial unrest and agitations by workers.
Both the public and private sector should arrange cash flow that will enable them pay their workers constantly and in good time.
For civil servants under the payroll of the Enugu State government, the 25th of every month is a happy day, as workers' salaries are paid monthly on this day or before the end of the month.
That thing that obligation from the government to pay workers as and when due is ongoing. There's no doubt about it. The governor is living up to expectation, and we're happy about it.
Some workers attribute this achievement to the regular verification exercise conducted by the government to sanitize the system and rid it of ghost workers. Although some workers in some of the parastatals in the state complain of slight delays in the payment of their salaries, the workers in Enugu State generally maintain that the cordial relationship between them and the government gives no reason for industrial actions under the administration. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Workers in the payroll of Lagos State government are enjoying regular payment of salaries. Khadijat Akombi reports that the prompt payment of workers' salaries in the state is a morale booster and it is enhancing service delivery.
Lagos State has over 150,000 workers, and the adoption of the Oracle payment system has eliminated ghost workers in the state.
When there is an upward review of the staff list, again, it is captured. It is the first thing that, staff members are required to update. Once you are captured by the Oracle, you enter into the system, and then everything becomes very seamless.
So it's not as if state government workers will collect their salary this day and that of local government workers. No, it is centrally paid. We are all paid between 23rd to 25th.
On how the prompt payment of salary will be sustained, the State Commissioner for Information and Strategy explains.
No workforce will be happy or will be sufficiently galvanized to deliver on their mandate if their payments, their remunerations, etc., are not attended to as at when due. So you have a governor who understands that. But of course, that is also made possible because of the solid economic base.
Across section of civil servants, we spoke with Weekend Fall, commended the state government for the prompt payment of their salary and urged it to continue to give priority to staff welfare.
We have a regular salary in Lagos State.
Salaries in Lagos are paid within 22 to 24 of every month.
And it's regular. We are all happy about it.
For the Lagos State civil servants, the prompt payment of the salary is motivating them to be committed to their duties and contribute significantly to the development of the state. Khadijat Akombi for Weekend File.
Well, that's good news, Khadijat. Thank you indeed. Now from Lokoja, Solomon Ayede here reports that the economic situation in Kogi State is expected to get a boost with the resolve by the state government to regularize payments of salaries to civil servants.
Besides agriculture, Kogi State is predominantly a civil servant state with about 19,671 of its population in the state workforce, with some months of irregular payments of salaries, which led to industrial action that was recently suspended by the organized labor. The multiplier effects on the economy was obvious.
For business, for operators of enterprises, services, educational sector, and what have you, everything is affected. This state is, for instance, 3 million people, and we have about, say, less than 1-2-3% of them are public servants. Yes, it is. But the effect is that most people in the rural areas, most aged people in the rural areas, and all the businesses depend largely on this income.
We need this salary at least to assist us so that we should be able to transport from our house to the office. Feeding, the second one. Our children are going to school. They are driving them away school fees.
The good news is that Labour and government have resolved their differences and workers have resumed duties.
His Excellency has approved that all those who are cleared, including those on the pardon list, including those on omission list who have been cleared, are going to be paid.
We made 4 months unpaid salary. So if you remove that one and add what we are doing, we are past the total number of what we are paid is equal to the number of money we are spending in government. So, but government is a continual process. We pay the arrears.
Already, the usual hustle and bustle, including business activities around the state secretariat and other government establishments, are beginning to pick up. So also in marketplaces. With this development, it is expected that irregular payment of salaries will be a thing of the past to enable civil servants in the state meet up their obligations. Solomon Ayedehi.
Huge wage burden on Kaduna State occasioned by over-bloated workforce on its payroll and that of the local government have been the major challenge hindering the execution of developmental projects, especially at the grassroots level. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachikun reports.
Being the third most populous state in Nigeria, figures by the National Bureau of Statistics placed Kaduna among the leading states in terms of workforce of more than 100,000. The recent economic recession gave rise to a drop in the revenue being accrued from the Federation account from more than 4 billion naira to 3 billion naira monthly, while settlement of wages gave 2.3 billion naira as against 2.7 billion naira in the previous administrations. The implementation of the unified tax collection for the state and its 23 local government areas, however, increased the internally generated revenue of the state to about 20 billion naira annually as against 10 to 11 billion naira during the previous administrations. The multi-billion naira Paris refund and implementation of Treasury single account, among other interventions, assisted the state to save billions.
The concentration of these monies have actually helped the state government in conserving its resources and making sure that they are deployed to good uses at the right time.
Apart from very few states, maybe 1, 2, or 3, that could afford to pay wages to its workforce comfortably and conveniently. The rest are barely struggling to pay.
Some names are still finding themselves on the payroll, when actually some are long dead. They are not even supposed to be on the payroll.
The Kaduna state government is currently contemplating the idea of downsizing other workforce at the local government levels to enable the councils pay salaries as at when due, as well as execute development projects at the grassroots level. In Kaduna, I am Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachikun, NTA News.
You're still watching Weekend File on the network service of the NTA, and we thank you for staying with us. And of course, the governor of Plateau State is here in the studio to talk to us on some of the issues raised in the course of this program. Don't go away.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's what LG wants you to see. Just what we see now, through our technology. LG OLED TV.
Introducing the new Onga ginger, onion, and garlic powder seasoning. Now you can give your fish, chicken, and beef the unique taste, all in just one sachet. Onga. Onga, Mama's helping hand.
Oka, I don't wash the whole car. Oka, I don't. Oka, 500 naira me. Oka, you don't inspire my life.
Adamu, which kind magic 500 naira won't do? You don't even reach you to take carry me comot safe.
Now go there. But he reached me to enter draw to meet with Dangote one-on-one.
With the FGNI app and just 500 naira, you stand a chance to meet one-on-one with Alhaji Aliko Dangote, Africa's richest man. As the Be Inspired meetings gives Nigerians a chance to meet one-on-one with icons. To qualify for the draw, download FGNI app from Apple Store or Google Play Store. Go to the Be Inspired section and follow the instructions. Cost of travel and accommodation of all winners within Nigeria will be borne by the organizers.
Entries close at midnight on Sunday, 12th of November, 2017.
Terms and conditions apply.
The studio with me is the governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong. Your Excellency, you're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you very much, and good evening, viewers.
All right. Some of us could be so excited, you know, to have you to talk to Nigerians on this very issue of delayed payment of workers' salaries.
Yes.
We should start by congratulating you for being one of the governors that have paid, you know, up to today, that you have paid all your salaries, you know, up to today. So what is the magic here?
Well, thank you very much. I don't think it is a serious magic, but it's about planning and also about understanding, about being faithful to the civil service. I came in and I saw the stage of the relationship between the civil service and the past administration. And I inherited a civil service that was already on strike. In fact, to me, it was dead, because for 5-6 months we were on strike. Nothing was happening. Nothing was happening in the state. And the complaints were that, of course, I knew too, that they were owed a lot of salaries. Owed a lot of salaries. From
you mean there was a backlog of salaries before you came in as governor?
Yes, about 9 months of salaries, 10 months for teachers, and 8 months for pensioners. And so it was a very, very serious problem. Nobody was going to work. I went to the secretariat, and even snakes were moving up and down because people were no longer there. And again, you understand that Plateau, when I came in, was with a lot of insecurity. Clashes here and there, crisis was going on, killings here and there. So part of our remedy for the crisis was also the issue of satisfying the civil servants who are also hungry and also aggrieved. And I saw the attitude, and I saw the way my predecessor took his exit. So what happened to him? It was very, very unfortunate. Civil servants, I think, were part of those who chased him away from, who chased him out of office.
Through the ballot?
Yes, through the ballot. And I didn't want, having been a speaker in the state for a very long time, understanding the plight of civil service, to come down and repeat the same mistake. So before I even came into office, I promised them that if I get into office, whatever will be the circumstances, I will try and pay the backlog of salaries. So as soon as we came in, we constituted a committee. First of all, to motivate them, I told them that yes, I will not want, if there were things that were wrong promotions, wrong appointments in the civil service, I redress those wrong appointments. And now agreed with them that yes, I will do my best to start paying. But then understand that money will not come from anywhere. Your motivation will make the revenue of the state improve. And through the improvement of revenue of the state, we'll be able to summon the challenges of the outstanding arrears of salaries. Yes. And so we started payment of arrears of salaries before even the bailout. Before the bailout. So we started. I remember my first encounter with Mr. President. What Mr. President told me was that, Plateau, you are a young man, you are coming in, I have seen your problems. 10 and 11 months of salaries, I sympathize with you and your state. I sympathize with you and your state. And so when I was among the governors that came to approach him about the need for bailout to help in settling outstanding salaries, he said, yes, state like, he again mentioned, I remember, he said, like state like Plateau, for state like Plateau, I will go to length to ensure that we bring out a bailout so that we pay salaries of civil servants. When I got my bailout, the civil servants knew about it, and I constituted a committee. Unlike in some states where they say the governors were sitting on it, I don't even know how much, but what I did was to set up a committee. And I said, this committee, this is the bailout from the presidency. Sit down, head of service, labor union, all of them sit down. See how you will start paying yourselves. When it ends, you stop there. And then together with all of you, we will start looking for means to continue payment. So we started like that. And then we moved on to payment. We started payment of salaries. And the last one was last December, when I saw that the last payment bailout was coming. And then we had, after even payment, we will still have about three months of arrears, and then about 4 to 5 months of pension. I sat down with myself and said, look, instead of carrying this thing forward, let me clear it, even if it means borrowing to clear salaries. I don't want to get into the new year and I'm talking about salaries. I'll be talking about how to pay to settle the outstanding debts with the banks, not payment of salaries again. So we did that. And then that is why they saw the alert. Yes. That's why they were calling people alert. Because they were seeing salaries every minute. Yes, they will come today, the next day will come and we spend all the Christmas. It now became so as it is now, in Plateau State, just like they mentioned, we pay salaries in advance. I would say in advance. As it is, we've paid November salaries. We paid November salaries. Now we pay November salaries? We pay in advance. We paid November salaries. By next week, we'll be paying December salaries.
All right. Actually, you're talking from the point of experience. Yes. Now, having been the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, you understand the plight of workers. And when you came in as governor, you started by planning. Yes. Now, I was going to ask you a question that has to do with the bailout funds, you know, how you were able to manage yours and others couldn't manage theirs. But you have actually explained that. Yes. Now, another issue I'd like to raise with you is that of a verification exercise, which many states embarked upon to be able to know who are the ghost workers, what is the reason for bloated civil service salaries, just like Kaduna State Governor complained of such. Now, did you embark on such?
We did. I inherited an exercise that was done by my predecessor. And from there, I started payment without even complaining. Now, when I started payment without complaining, we still realized that the salary was still there was no reduction, because we know that people were retiring, some people were dead, but I saw the salaries still remain the same. And my complaint was, how can salaries remain the same? How can they remain the same when we are paying? I know that a lot of people are retiring. I know that many people are dead. So it cannot be the same. So what we did was, as we were paying this one, they also became very excited. The civil servants became excited and on their own carried out the verification exercise as payments were made. So the verification exercise was not something that you will do once and forget about it. Because I realized I've not been a civil servant myself. I've always been in the private sector until I became a governor and a speaker. So what we did was to continue to do verification as we are paying. And even up to today, we are still doing verification. As we are paying, we are doing verification. We didn't want the issue of verification to be the reason why we cannot continue to pay them salaries. As they pay themselves, the motivation came. They themselves were also able to realize that if they fish out ghost workers, it will help them in addressing the issues of the backload of areas of salaries. And so on their own, I will say the committee I set up in 2015 is still the committee up to today, a standing committee. So the committee pays salaries, the committee makes recommendations after a payment, after every payment, and if there are difficulties, the committee will tell me these are some of the difficulties we are going to find. For instance, when we came in, the idea was how to sustain it. And when we started, our revenue was at that time was only, when I came in, was about 300 million. And that 300 million, the revenue 300 million IGR, was even tied to a debt by my predecessor, already tied to a debt. So there was nothing to pay salaries and nothing to even pay outstanding salaries. And what we were getting from Federation account was not enough to pay salaries. So we have to augment them by borrowing. And so the main thing we did was that I had good planners within the civil service and even outside the civil service. I set up an economic team.
Okay, I just hope that other governors, perhaps those who are owing, are listening to you at the moment, because all this have to be tied to planning.
Yes.
Now, the National Minimum Wage Act of 2011, provides a flat wage structure of 18,900 naira. Well, we learned that not all the states are complying, but meanwhile, it is expected that this could be have been reviewed in accordance with the Act. Now,
Yes.
how much would you suggest as the minimum wage in this country? And do you discuss such things during your governor's forum?
Unfortunately, I don't want to make a comment on that, because sometimes I made a comment and then it was seen as my view or the view that I'm going to express, because I'm a member of the committee. I was appointed a member of the committee, I think 5-man committee from the governor's forum, when we discussed the issue and we realized that there was a need to sit down together, have a comprehensive thinking about what to do about the need to increase the salaries. So I am a member of the committee, and I will not want my committee to see my view as the views of the committee. So the committee is still working, and I won't draw a conclusion as to what I think. I think. So I want us to leave that aspect out.
Yeah. All right, Governor Lalong, it's been nice talking to you on this program, actually. You mentioned about motivation of workers and, of course, the ability of the workers to actually, raise the revenue for the state. So yes. What was the motivation?
Well, I think payment of salaries. Of course, if they have their regular income, they will be motivated. Like I mentioned, when I came in, the revenue was just about 300 million. But today, we're almost hitting a target of a billion in my state. It was because of the motivation, because they are the ones that will go out and do the work. But if they are not motivated, you will not.
They won't be able to give you their best,
correct thing. Yes, it's either they get it and they know what to pocket it. But when they see it, they also sympathize with the government.
All right.
Because anytime they are talking of hardship, they say, "Look, we know when to sympathize with."
Okay, Governor, I'd like to thank you very much for sparing your time and sharing your thoughts with us on this very, very important issue, especially as it concerns many Nigerian families, who are civil servants. Thank you very much indeed. Time is not on our side. We could have continued because there are other questions I had wished to ask you. Simon Lalong is the governor of Plateau State and our special guest on tonight's edition of Weekend File. Once again, sir, thanks for joining us.
Very grateful.
And up ahead on the show is sports.
Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, cordially invites all state commissioners, permanent secretaries, and directors of tourism and culture and other stakeholders in the tourism, culture, and national orientation sector to the 9th National Council meeting on tourism, culture, and national orientation with the theme Tourism and Culture as a Panacea for Nigerian Economic Recovery. Chief host, Executive Governor of Jigawa State, Alhaji Muhammad Badaru Abubakar. Venue, Manpower Development Institute along Government House Road, opposite Commercial Secondary School, Takuru, Adwa, Duse, Jigawa State. Date, 22nd to 25th November 2017. Program, Wednesday, 22nd November 2017, 12 noon to 6 p.m. Arrival